Hi, Helen. Dad said you're doing creative. You've got a creative writing group, and that you read each other's work. Listen to this. This is Nicholas Crane. I just looked at chapter 14 after reading the introduction. I was just looking at the pictures actually. Some of the maps are absolutely fantastic, and well, they're not absolutely fantastic. They're the exact opposite. It's the opening. In the summer of 1511, Emerentia Kremer fell pregnant and the harvest failed. Rye rose to its highest price for a decade, and plague returned to the islands of the lower Rhine. Emerentia and Hubert set off towards the ocean. In the Low Countries they could find food, shelter, and a place to lay the baby. For several days they travelled over the River Maas and across the heaths of Kempen, where robbers lurked by stagnant meres. When the sandy tracks gave way to clay, spires began to pierce the sky. On these seeping levels sprawled some of Europe's richest cities and towns: Antwerp, Mechelen, Louvain, and Brussels, each of them arterially connected to the sea lanes of the world by the same deltaic river. It was to this river, the immeasurable Schelde, that the Kremers were bound. He's put he's made some of those sentences rhymed, and there's a meter to it. Anyway, you look at the map on there and you think, I've never heard of the Schelde. And then I looked at the bottom left-hand corner, a modern map showing places associated with Mercator. There is no evidence that he ever left the limits of this map. And that's the reason that I was looking at the pictures, because look at the sorts of maps that this most incredible world. This one really blew my mind. For the 16th century. Look at that, look at Africa. And then I got to chapter 14. Enemy at the ramparts. While Charles was in Spain, a firestorm swept the Low Countries. Through the early months of 1542, the regent, Queen Maria of Hungary, watched the embers being fanned on all sides. Since the time of our grandfather, she fretted, the Netherlands were never in such danger. Coastal towns were braced for an attack from the Danes. Artois and Flanders were being marched upon by the French. Luxembourg looked likely to fall to Duke of Orleans. But the greatest threat of all was stirring beyond, I don't know how to say Hertogenbosch, beyond the rivers that kept Oh, you might know. How about that? It's a possessive. Beyond the rivers that kept Brabant safe from flammable Gelderland, the province allied to the Turk, the source of French attacks on the Holy Roman Empire, the lair of Duke Karel's old commander, ferocious, bristle-moustached Black Maarten van Rossum. And then I just caught a quote of Maarten van Rossum. Fire, exclaimed Black Maarten, is the Magnificat of war. And I thought about that drivel that I wrote about the origin of Lucien Bolls. Can you look that up? I wrote something about Lucien Bolls appearing out of nowhere in the Netherlands in the 16th century. But be very careful.